I want to play a game. The rules are simple. All you have to do is sit here and talk to me. Listen to me.
2004 was a wild year for horror. Films were all over the place in quality, and it seemed like there were more misses than hits. For every Shaun of the Dead, we ended up with a Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys. One film that stood out among the rest was Saw. It was different not just because of the gore. Written and directed by the team of James Wan and Leigh Whannell, Saw took the box office by storm, and the franchise has had amazing success despite its detractors. To put this in perspective, the worst performing film in the franchise had a revenue of $23 million, and that was the film Spiral in 2021. The franchise is still going, and in fact, there is talk of more movies in the future, which is wild to me. My favorite franchise, Hellraiser, has had a similar number of films, but started in the late 80s and hasn't nearly kept up the level of quality. I'm looking at you, Revelations. You're awful. After the 5th film in the series, they decided that this franchise needed a game. So this wasn't a direct recreation of one of the movies, but something that would bridge together the first and second movie. As much as I love the idea about having outside media becoming this way of adding to the franchise, I feel like many people just kind of forgot about it, which has become a theme on this channel sometimes. I'm Adam the Horror Historian, and today we're actually combining two of my favorite things, which is horror games and horror film. And we're talking about the Saw video game. There will be spoilers. I'm not the biggest franchise fan for Saw, but the first movie is amazing. At least that's how I remembered it. I'm planning on rewatching the first two to update this, but I'm a James Wan fan. The story that is relevant to this game is actually the B story to the film. The movies are often broken up in two main stories: the people who are trapped in the game, and those that are actually trying to figure things out. And it's not always so cut and dry as what is happening and at what time. The B story is following Detective Tapp as he's trying to solve the Jigsaw case. That's right, the killer is the Jigsaw Killer, and the puppet that is used in the franchise is Billy. I found over the years that somehow people screw this up, but that's okay. In the films, Tapp is played by Danny Glover, and is a very compelling character, and some of you may be wondering how this actually works out, because Tapp not only had his throat slit in the first film, but he was also shot in the chest by Zepp. Well, the game decided that the best narrative choice was they needed Tapp to survive his ordeal. There are a lot of other weird connecting points from this game to the larger franchise that I don't think a lot of people asked about. Yeah, because there's an overarching narrative to these which may be a shocker to some. Seriously, from now on, it's massive spoilers for both the movies and the game. Just let you know.
The desk in front of you holds the badge of the partner you failed to protect. Fitting, since it also holds the key to free the witness you chose not to protect. Do you remember her name, Detective? Or did you squeeze her for information and throw her away? You have the key to her chamber. Hurry, or she will join the fate of your lead partner.
Thing. I'm so sorry.
People probably know this character best as the survivor from the first movie, as well as the disciple for future trials. But before John went back to recruit as shown in Saw 3, there was actually another trial she was a part of. Before you decide to type that this game is not canon, I recommend looking into it, because Leigh Whannell has actually confirmed it to be canon, and he may be a better authority on the subject than any of us. After the first trial, she may have stopped the drug abuse, but she was abducted again for self-harm.
I didn't tell Boss anything, not a thing.
I know you didn't.
Promise I won't do it anymore. The drugs, the cutting, none of it.
I know you won't.
I don't know what else I can say, what else I can give.
Your life.
And as a tool to deal with Detective Tapp.
Detective Tapp will be here soon. This is the first victim of his obsession. He should be able to hear her, but she is drugged. Tapp knows how the game works and what will happen if he does not release her in time. Hide the key to
Jigsaw has claimed that she hadn't really learned anything from her first experience. If you're following the score at home and maybe you've seen the movies, you know she survives this experience. I was a little bummed to know that the always stunning Shawnee Smith was not the voice for the character, but Jen Taylor is more than capable and has one hell of a resume.
It's okay. You're okay.
What did you do to me? What did you do?
I'm not him. I'm not the one who...
It's okay. I'm okay, I know. Look, we have to play by his rules. I saw him.
Who is he? What did he look like?
That's all you care about? I just nearly died. We're all here because of you, detective. Oh, the hell with this.
You monster! You killed my husband! You!
Your husband was killed by his partner's carelessness. He ran into a trap. I did not kill him.
You booby-trapped the house! His death is your fault!
The defenses I prepared would have easily been disabled by police procedure. But those procedures were ignored. Who do you think ignored them?
Tap! That son of a bitch!
Not a direct character from the first movie, but she is married to Detective Singh, Tap's partner, who unfortunately for him was shot by one of Jigsaw's traps. The widow did not handle the death of her husband as well as I assume many of us would not, but in her case several things started to happen. The first being she wasn't able to continue being a parent. What I mean by that is that she started to neglect herself and her child to the point where Child Protective Services were starting to come around.
People always think their actions affect no one else. But the life of your late partner's family was scarred beyond repair, leaving empty husks of self-misery and neglect. While Detective Singh's wife's descent to the bottom was much shorter than yours, Detective, the blame remains the same.
There's even enough evidence that this has been going on for a lot longer than just some minor concerns by teachers. The second thing is she became obsessed and blamed Tap for the death of her husband, and frankly, this is kind of true. Tap pushed for him and Singh to go into Jigsaw's building with no warrant or backup, which did end up leading to a massive screw-up.
Let me out of this thing! I need to see my son!
Do you mean the son you abandoned?
No, I would never.
But you did. You tossed him away. Consumed by vengeance against Tap.
It would never have happened if my husband was still alive. It's Tap's fault! You don't know what it's like!
The dead cannot influence the living. You will discover that soon enough.
Tap ended up with his throat slit, which he managed to survive, but Singh clearly didn't. The fate of Melissa, after her whole ordeal, can go in two ways. The non-canon ending of the game sees Tap still relentlessly going after Jigsaw, catching who he thinks is the killer, only to find out it was Melissa who was forced to continue playing the game. But the actual canon ending to the game is she and her son, who were kidnapped as well, survived the whole ordeal, but does get mentioned in the second game.
It's over. Your sick games are over. You're not gonna get a trial you can weasel your way out of, pleading insanity. All those people you killed. I won't let you kill again.
Hello, Melissa. If you're hearing this, you survived your test. You have forgiven Tap, the man responsible for your husband's death, the man you obsessed over as your life fell into pieces. Your son is now in my care. If you want him to live, you'll have to play a game. Follow the instructions provided for you. All you have to do to see your son again is keep Detective Tap on track. To make sure you follow the rules, I have temporarily removed your ability to speak. When the clock strikes 6, you will be free of this place, but watch your step, or you will meet the same fate as your late husband. Live or die. broken man, Detective, scattered into pieces. So is the man trapped at the end of this ward, a man who destroyed your reputation piece by piece. Will you help him? To do so, there are pieces to a puzzle that you must find. Assembling these pieces will bring you one step closer to solving the puzzle of catching me. It is a dangerous game, Detective. But the best games always are.
A minor character in the first film, and frankly, I'm not sure why this was even added to the game, considering I don't even remember that this character existed at all. Oswald was a journalist, and you see a quick snippet of his work calling into question about Dr. Lawrence Gordon possibly being the Jigsaw Killer. Why is he even in this game? Well,
So I've helped you, right? Helped you spread your message or whatever? So will you let me go?
I'm afraid I cannot do that. Do you remember Detective Tapp?
Yeah, the cop that couldn't catch you. You cut him up and killed his partner.
You insinuated that we were the same person. I believe that credit should be given where credit is due. You ruined the man's life with your constant insinuations. Words are powerful, Oswald, but so are actions.
the articles that Oswald published apparently was just a smear campaign because Tapp didn't return a phone call. I'm not sure why we were supposed to care about this character when we have no connection to him or even a strong reference point. All of the writers seem to agree with me on this because he didn't make it long in this game either.
Go that way, I'll look in here.
You still continue to pursue me, but you do not understand. In the crematorium, another faces their test. But this subject does not wish escape. He wants to experience my games firsthand. This is your worst fear, Detective. Can you overcome your hatred to save a life?
This is another connection to the franchise, but not the first movie, but the second. Obi wanted to be tested. In this, he was very different than the rest of the cast of people. We don't know much about him, but we see a lot about him by the second film. He wanted the test, and since he was saved in the game, Obi seems to have volunteered to help with the next game by abducting the other victims before being abducted himself. This definitely adds a little more to his character that seemed to have this weird death wish when every other character was trying to survive. Whatever works, buddy.
You ruined it. You ruined my game. It was mine, not yours.
What are you talking about?
I called out to him, put an ad in the paper, asking, begging to be tested, to learn. He called out to me and told me to come here. I was finally going to play my game, but then you had to come along.
You asked for this?
Didn't you? Isn't that why you're here?
Jesus, you're just as crazy as him.
We're in an asylum. We're all crazy.
No! Not again! You can't kidnap me again! Haven't I suffered enough?
You fail to learn the reason for your suffering, Jeff. Life is worth preserving.
But I don't want the pain anymore.
The closer you get to losing everything, the more you will understand why life is so precious.
This is a character who I didn't even remember in the film, though he is around for a very pivotal moment, and that is when Tapp and Singh raided Jigsaw's workshop. He was the man who was strapped to the chair with the drills. He was saved by Singh when he decided to shoot the drill bits off, but in the process startling Tapp, which ultimately led to the whole events of this game. We don't know a whole lot about his character other than the prior events depicted in the film, despite what fan communities want to say about it. There is no evidence that he was the dentist mentioned by Tapp, And I feel like if there was a connection there would have been a little bit more to the scene in the movie. What is going on with Jeff was severe depression. That was interfering with his life, which is why he was apparently kidnapped the first time around, and also why he was kidnapped this time again. After the events of this game, his fate is exactly what he was trying for, and he shot himself 2 days after he was released.
Hello, Jeff. Day after day you live alone, isolating yourself to avoid the stress of reality. You have tried to take your own life on multiple occasions because you cannot endure the mental pain of everyday life.
Get me out of here!
Now you will have to endure real pain.
Lastly, I would like to talk about Tap himself. I mentioned there were 2 endings, but the one I want to discuss is the canon ending. The point of the game was to get Tap to get over his obsession with Jigsaw, and if you chose freedom at the end of the game, you get the best ending.
This is the end, Detective. The end of all that you know. You have saved everyone you could save. Their lives were yours to do with as you wished. You're here, but have you overcome your own obsession? You can save everyone who is left in this asylum. You can grant them their freedom. You can free yourself from your obsession if you only let go of the truth. Or you can continue to pursue the truth, giving into your obsession and throwing all your lives away.
The remaining hostages are released. Tap is considered a hero by the media, but because this is part of the Saw franchise, we can't expect a happy ending. Tap is unable to get over his obsession, similar to Jeff, and ended his life, but not till after learning the fates of some of the other victims we dealt with during the game. This is apparently shown in Saw 2 Flesh and Blood. Tap was mentioned in Saw 3, 5, as well as the sequel that I just mentioned, which features another character by the last name of Tap.